What makes a high-performing finance team? I'm Nigel from Chrysalis Advisors. It was a warm, sunny day and I was talking with a client and he asked me a terrific question. It was not the meaning of life or why crabs walk sidewards. He asked me the question, what makes high-performing finance teams? I coughed and spluttered like an old Massey Ferguson tractor starting up in the middle of winter. What a great question. I suitably paid him the compliment and said, let me think about that. I thought through the various skills and attributes required. A great CFO thinks and acts more like a CEO than a hardcore bean counter or even accountant. What do I mean by that? Well, over the past 10 years, with the advent of some wonderful technology, conceivably, the role of a CFO is a lot less about the numbers, possibly as low as 20% of their role is now number crunching. This is not to downplay the importance of regular, consistent, accurate and timely reporting. It's the exact opposite. It means that a lot of the back end is done in a more straightforward manner and can be done in one way or another, maybe even automatically. You may be wondering, what does a CF do with all this additional spare time? Well, in summary, sitting down with the CEO and jointly developing and setting the strategy. The CFO needs to be understanding what the business needs and requirements are for its financial health. Where is the business heading? And ensuring that the finances are there, ready to contribute as required. So with the CFO taken care of, what does the rest of the finance department do? There's certainly a limit as to how many YouTube clips someone can watch in a certain day. The finance teams must be involved more broadly across the business. It's a lot more than just functional or transaction based. There's a difference between independence and collaboration. Finance staff are to be the independent sounding board for others within the business. A good finance team will quickly work out their role. They are not there to be everyone's friend and saying yes to everything. Sure, in the short term it may work, but the finance team, well, hopefully they won't soon become the social celebrities. A far cry from a few years ago, when rarely a finance department would emerge from their darkened office, holding tightly to their pencil and electric calculator with the electric cord hanging behind them, making their way slowly to the coffee machine without making contact with any other staff. The bottom line, short-term popularity is short-term lived and doesn't add value to the business in the long term. Finance teams are there to be the voice of reason. You may be wondering what that means and what it looks like. Well, how can we be collaborative and also be independent? It may be as easy saying, oh, hang on a minute guys, before moving towards A, have we thought about D or maybe even E? High performance finance teams must be the enabler of the business. They are to be helping achieve business goals. They are not to be on the sidelines and saying no to everything. They are there to ensuring that the governance requirements are met. Business finance teams are not a government department. That is, no one moves until it is perfect. Sure, from time to time there may be a good reason to slow down. Good finance teams will sit in the middle of getting the right balance between enabling the business and also providing good governance. Another way of looking at it is, how can we say yes and then manage the business risk? If you can say yes, then you're beginning to understand business risk, and that in itself is a brilliant accomplishment. A high-performing finance team will be the centre of the business, knowing exactly what's going on in the business meetings. Their role is more broad than just getting the numbers. Now finance teams are explaining why the business is doing what they are doing. This is very different from many years ago, sitting in the darkened room with calculators adding up numbers. High-performance finance teams spend time in understanding the business. They are willing to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty. They're inquisitive and they want to understand what and why the business is investing in what and other activities. One of the most significant challenges in finance is when everyone is saying yes and you are thinking no. What do? Do you say something or not? Do you take a risk? I've been faced with this predicament and I did say no. I found others may be annoyed and in some way they might actually be challenged. However, I've noticed that you're still respected. Always be clear and let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't forget, you're a leader within the business, not just the finance department, so voice your opinion. From time to time, your ethics will be challenged. Simply put, if you lose your ethics, go home. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, far from it. Very, very, very challenging. For high-performance finance teams, relationships are key. In the business of business life, it's easy to overlook relationships. The more finance staff invest in relationships and build credible trust, the better. Personally, the best conversations I have had nothing to do with money. It's easy to form relationships with those that we naturally synergise with. But we need to make sure we make a concerted effort to mix with those of a diverse background. That diversity comes from gender, culture, and a different way of looking at issues. High-performance finance teams must be gifted communicators. Communication is a critical skill, yet many accountants are poor communicators. If you are not naturally a brilliant communicator, then practice, and get some more practice. Get yourself an honest, gifted communicator who can mentor you and someone that you can trust. By now, you've probably concluded high-performance finance teams are less about the numbers and more about the business, relationships and communication, how times have changed. So, moving forward, what do we need to be doing? There's 8 rules for high-performing finance teams. Number 1, always be forward-thinking. Be proactive. We need to be on the front foot and not behind. Number 2, always help the business to be forward-thinking. Number 3, get up from your desk. Number 4, provide understandable insights. If we haven't achieved a budget, understand the why, not just the what. Be action orientated. Number 5. Number 6, have a backbone and have courage to say something. Number 7, in God we trust, and in all else, bring the data. Make sure you get accurate, timely and informative data. Analyse the data and get insights from it. And number 8, when times get tough, it's time to invest. I'm Nigel from Chrysalis Advisors. Please see my contact details below.